brought me alive. Oh, we're all like monsters, playing with the monsters. They brought me alive, but I know I'll never hide. It's a lover's fight without an alibi. Took my hands without an alibi.
Showing off, don't wanna have to wait tonight. Better off, I'm gonna find my way tonight. Won't you talk to me? I wanna heal your sorrow. Won't you talk to me? We'll make a new tomorrow. Won't you talk to me? We'll make this happen.
was wrong to say I wouldn't change a thing, 'cause in the story of our lives, the best of times through color glass, time rolls on enough to let me move on past, but every little now and then it creeps on back to shade my smile. I was wrong to say I wouldn't change a thing, 'cause in the story of our lives, the best of times through color glass, time rolls on enough to let me move on past, but every little now and then it creeps on back to shade my smile. Some days there's no one else who loves me like you used to. Some days I'm not myself, there's no one I can turn to. And I know all the feelings that we shared are in the past. And I know your relationships are never meant to last. It might take some time, but I'll be alright. I'm moving on, moving on. I know times are tough, but I've had enough. I'm moving on, I'm moving on. Moving on, moving on. I know times are tough, but I've had enough. I'm moving on, I'm moving on. Some days there's no one else who loves me like you used to. Some days I'm not myself, there's no one I can turn to. And I know all the feelings that we shared are in the past. And I know your relationships are never meant to last. It might take some time, but I'll be alright. I'm moving on, I'm moving on. I know times are tough, but I've had enough. I'm moving on, I'm moving on. I know times are tough, but I've had enough. I'm moving on, I'm moving on. Talking to myself and I can't focus. Yeah, I'm broken. The door is closing. Wanna be a part of something more than this. I've lost control of it. Oh, seeing the stars reminds me of you. Oh, oh, oh. You left me with scars, but I know that one day you'll see it through. You see it through. You see it through. Eh. You see it through. You see it through. We gonna live forever, forever. The afterlife. We gonna live forever, forever. The Talking to myself and I can't focus. Yeah, I'm broken. The door is closing. Wanna be a part of something more than this. I've lost control of it. Oh, seeing the stars reminds me of you. Oh, oh, oh. You left me with scars, but I know that one day you'll see it through. You see it through. You see it through. Eh. You see it through. You see it through. We gonna live forever, forever. The afterlife. We gonna live forever, forever. The
A pair of jeans, a shirt or two. We didn't pack as if we weren't going back. It doesn't matter if it's true. I've got a feeling love will give us what we lack. The world is waiting up. The world is waiting half a step beyond our door. And if it's not enough, I wanna see the stuff the world is has got in store. I wanna take it all in, I'm falling. The cityscape by night, wanna catch in my photos. Where you go, every corner twice as bright. They'll be my treasures forever. When I can't hold you tight, I'll see the Stockholm lights. The Stockholm lights, the Stockholm lights. Tomorrow feels a year away, like the seconds, the beginning and the end. But if in time it's yesterday, your picture's gonna bring it home to me again. The world is waiting up, the world is waiting half a step beyond our door. And if it's not enough, I wanna see the stuff the world has got in store. I wanna take it all in, I'm falling. The cityscape by night, wanna catch in my photos. Where you go, every corner twice as bright. They'll be my treasures forever. When I can't hold you tight, I'll see the Stockholm lights. The Stockholm lights, the Stockholm lights.
Another day, eyes on my display. You say we need a change, and I feel that you mean it. You mean it. But too soon, right? We're losing track of time, buying things online, and it's not like we need them. We don't need them. So can we just slow down? The only thing I'll do is lay here next to you. We need to slow down. Embrace the love we found. For you and I were safe and sound. And we just slow down. For you and I were safe and We were on the run, rocking around the clock. Now all we need is right here in front of us. In front of us. So can we just slow down? The only thing I'll do is lay here next to you. We need to slow down. Embrace the love we found. For you and I were safe and sound. Can we just slow down? And we just waste another day. I'm not a slave. You say we need a change. I feel that you need it. It's just so right. We're losing track of time, buying things online. It's not like we need them. Can I be your star tonight? You fill my soul with light the day we met. I don't wanna leave your side, no. Have me by your side when the sun sets. I hope you'll still want me. I hope you'll still need me a million years from now. The seasons are changing, the nights ever fading. It's time we left the ground. Let's leave for an eternity. Sail across the lights beyond the sky. I'll be with you eternally. Now enjoy your love and keeps me high. Keeps me high. Can I be your star tonight? You fill my soul with light the day we met. I don't wanna leave your side, no. Have me by your side when the sun sets. Let's leave for an eternity. We'll sail across the lights beyond the sky. I'll be with you eternally. finally. I'm an addict for your love, it keeps me high, keeps me high. Wait for me, I'm not far behind. I know that I can change. Remembering all of those nights beneath the window frame. Don't know why we keep going round in the same place. Can't decide to live my life on the ground or in outer space. Live my life on the ground or in outer space. Ground or in outer space. Wait for me, I'm not far behind. I know that I can change. Remembering all of those nights beneath.
All right, welcome to Immortal Week 1 with Titan Esports. I am Anti. I'm joined today by Cilantro, and we're going to be watching Ice versus Con. This should be a very interesting way to kick things off for the season.
Yep, I'm very excited and I'm very happy to be joining you on this Titan Esports broadcast. I've been here a couple times before, but now I have an official position, so I'm very excited about that. Yes, and I'm excited to be casting the Immortal League. I'm hoping to see some great things coming out from these teams. And I think it's just going to be a really strong year we got going for us.
Yeah, and speaking of strong, we've got the draft just going strong. You know, these players just breezing through this, saying, hey, I know exactly what I want to deal with. I know exactly what we want off of the screen. And, you know, just taking away exactly what, you know, could be the big problems to deal with. Like, you know, Ice on the blue side going to be taking away the Varus, you know, one of these stronger AD carries on the patch. At this point, with this much certainty, it seems like these teams might be using something like pro comps.
Oh yes, we love pro comms. I remember looking around for a personal draft coach before, and I stumbled upon pro comms. You know, there's nothing other tool like it out there. In fact, pro comms can be used with any other component, and you know, understand why. They got the incredible features. Is the great champion pools for your players, teams, and even personalized recommendations during the drafts.
I mean, with over 200,000 downloads and thousands of daily users, it's no wonder as to why we love the fact that they've been so gracious to sponsor us here. But speaking of which, you know, we have some crazy picks already coming on out. The Xin Zhao, you know, one where I'm not too surprised, but Ezreal and Heimerdinger being picked up here for the side of Ice. Definitely a crazy bot lane to just not quite blind pick when you see the Lucian. I mean, you already know it's going to be Lucian Nami, but definitely something that we would not have seen last patch, especially with how weak Ezreal was in that previous patch.
Yep, and you see the Karma was banned out, so that is something that will not be able to be comboed with. They did end up banning the Varus as well. Karma can play really well with that AD carry as well. But I don't feel like this Lucian Nami is going to be able to get as aggressive and early advantage like they want in lane going up against the Heimerdinger Ezreal, because as we know, Ezreal is very, very self-sustaining. He can solo farm in lane all by himself. Heimerdinger is going to allow that pushback pressure, so it's really going to be coming up to Neversaw, or I believe is Muzi going to be on the Nami, and seeing what they can do to set up kills for this Lucian. And you've got to be wary of the dragons as well. This might be a little fizzy on the Xin Zhao, very early ganking jungler. When you have a Heimerdinger in the bot lane, that can almost guarantee early stacking dragons.
And one thing to note also, because it is Heimerdinger, he is going to be able to continually poke down the enemy AD carry. Lucian likely will not be able to go first strike here, which is a decent bit of gold loss. Meanwhile, Neversaw gonna be slamming the Akali here. Okay. All right, so she's already going to be slamming down the gauntlet. A lot of confidence there. Meanwhile, we have the Scion for Lil Fizzy in that top lane, which is, honestly, we might not actually see a Scion in the top lane. It might be mid lane. We saw some of that in LCS earlier this season. I don't know. Oh, okay. So it is very much going to be that Scion in the top lane. I would be very surprised to see Lil Fizzy on that Zoe. But Zoe into the Akali pick here. Another bit of, total confidence. And the Cassante for Rizzy to even out the team composition. So, on your end, Cilantro, how do you feel about these team comps?
I really like both team comps here. Khan has a very, very strong front line with the Trundle and the Cassante. Very good backline dive pressure. So I expect this Lucian Nami to be able to go uncontested in the team fights, because Lil Fizzy is not really going to have those engage angles with a Cassante and Trundle in your face. And he's going to be having the peel for this Ezreal and Heimerdinger that Neversaw is going to be looking to get into the back line and just poke down. So, but however, Ice has a lot of poke damage. We've seen Zoe in the past do a ton of damage with the drowsy Qs that can just burst down that can just burst down verticality if he gets hit by it, and then boom, your fight's over. And Ice takes the fight there. The only real front line that they have is the Scion, which kind of scares me a little bit because the Xin Zhao can be bursted down very heavily, especially in the Lucian Nami comp. So I'm leaning a bit more towards the stability of Khan and their front line. However, we could see an early game ending if Ice plays those early gank advantages that Riddy wants to go for, and end the game early and not allow Khan to scale up like they want to.
Makes sense. Well, we'll have to see exactly how things do develop on the Rift. Now, things to note as we hop on there. I do like the Zoe pick here from Waguri Karuko. It's definitely an interesting position to find yourself in. Now, one thing that I've always told my friends, right, is that if you're ahead with Zoe, you've got a hammer, right? Because Zoe is a hammer. And if you need to mess things up for the enemy team, you've got a hammer. Now, if your team is bleeding and you need to perform open heart surgery and fix everything, you've got a hammer. And speaking of which, oh Lord,
we have an early gank in the bot side. Carrot is already down to quarter. You see the flash forward out of verticality. He's going to pick up first blood on this Lucian, and that's something that they definitely want. And the flash is forced out of the jungler as well. They're looking to potentially find more Fizzy, forced to burn out that flash as well. And this is interesting because, okay, I'm sure we saw a Scion in the draft, but there's a Maokai on the field.
Okay, I mean, well, as we know, Nico has her own little transformation thing going on. I guess Maokai also decided to take a little bit of that. But speaking of which, Khan definitely going to be super happy about how that one worked out here. I mean, first blood onto verticality absolutely feels amazing. And I was saying that Lucian should not be able to start first strike. They decided to just go for it anyway. Just slam the first strike. I don't care if Heimerdinger is going to be able to get that poke off. As long as you don't get hit, it's not a problem.
Yeah, and Verticality was the only person out of Team Calm that was forced to burn the flash there, whereas Holy Carrot, Riddy, and Fizzy all burn their flashes, so I'm expecting Rizzy in the top side to take advantage of that and look for early kills, and potentially Absolar, as you see, is up in that top side. It's looking like he's going to end up positioning down, so probably not going for that early gank, although I probably would have looked to path top, get my Cassante an early kill at level 3, and then he can snowball into the late game, as we
Oh.
know Cassante is. Maybe he might be able to find the kill all on his own, though. Fizzy not really having an angle to get out. One more advanced auto will do the trick. Can he land the knockup? It is online. It's going to end up landing. Rizzy takes first blood in the top side. Okay, talk to me a bit here. We saw Sion, but they picked Maokai instead, so it was probably just a little bit of a misclick in the draft. Why pick the Maokai over Sion here, though?
Honestly, I'm not too certain. There's a little bit here where it's like, hey, maybe we're actually picking a Xin Zhao top lane, something crazy like that. Meanwhile, the Maokai, with that flex capability, still should be able to get tanky enough up in this top lane, right? While you might not necessarily be able to have any kill pressure on the Cassante in the 1v1, barring the fact that, your flash was burned early, this isn't exactly what I would call a terrible matchup, right? Meanwhile, in this bot lane, this is looking worse and worse for Verticali and Muzi, despite the fact that they started the game off with that early kill.
Yeah, but getting that early kill on the Lucian is going to be good because you're going to, as long as you can maintain a CS lead over Sever, you're going to maintain that kind of gold advantage. And when your jungler out of Absolar is able to path down, you're going to have advantage in those 3v2s. And if you can get one more kill off of a nice early gank, as we see Absolar potentially roaming down for it, but will get spotted out on the vision. Can the pillar come up and stop? Are they going to continue to go for this? I don't think Moosey's in the area to land a nice bubble, but the pillar is absolutely insane. Holy Carrot's going to get knocked up, and Absolar actually takes that kill. Probably something you really wanted to give over to your jungler, or to your AD carry, but it was a great gank in the bot lane to put back the favor in Verticality.
Yeah, honestly, great amount of pressure there. Phenomenal pathing coming out from Absar. I actually really like the fact that they gave the kill over to Absar. Trundle as a pick into Xin Zhao is a phenomenal counter pick as long as the Trundle can stay ahead, because that means that Xin Zhao doesn't get the chance to walk in, counter jungle, do any of that kind of stuff, because the Trundle will always be able to get that counter jungling win off, right? You do not want to fight this Trundle, especially when you're behind in gold, behind in items. And Absar going to be taking those wolves, going to be looking to back, get just filled with tons and tons of gold off of that kill here. Meanwhile, top lane has started to go slightly into Lil Fizzy's favor, despite the fact that the Maokai is behind in health, in mana. The Maokai has picked up quite a decent CS lead. That's 6 CS up at 5 minutes when down a full kill.
Yeah, we got to take into account Maokai's passive, where he's able to heal off of mostly every other auto, I believe it is. It's like an 8-second cooldown. And on top of that, you've got the Doran shield. So the Maokai can contest CS a lot easier than we would like to think that they can. And that's going to help him maintain that tankiness in the top side. But speaking of, we're in the bot side right now. We see the jungle has already been started up onto this dragon. Absar not really in the position to go for a little bit of a contestation. And with that Heimerdinger, like I mentioned in draft, these early dragons are going to be somewhat free. So I'm expecting Absar to play a little bit more towards the top side, get these Void Grubs, get Rizzy a little bit scaling off of the 5-stack Void Grubling so he can start split pushing and taking some towers.
Yeah, Void Grubs, super, super powerful. And once you pick up 3 Void Grubs, that nearly guarantees 5 Void Grubs at the least, as long as your team stays even enough. So right here, with the Void Grubs being picked up by Absar, should be working out fine. Meanwhile, Neversaw just going to continue to trade off in this mid lane. Nothing too much going on between these two laners.
A nice Drowsy is going to get some poke onto Neversaw on that Akali, but she does have a little bit of a roam time and is going to meet Absolar in this jungle if they decide to look for something, but it's not looking for any invade just yet. Going to take the Scuttle Crab and potentially back off. We see that the bot wave has bounced back towards the tower of Iceborn, and actually it's really looking like the CS lead has moved way in favor of Verticality here. Like we mentioned, he's already got that kill, has a little bit of assist gold. Now he's got a lane wave state gold on top of that. This is supposed to be looking in favor of the Ezreal Heimerdinger, but Verticality is not letting them, as a nice Ignite's gonna come down. Here's the gank coming out of Ridley. Verticality might have stepped a little bit too far forward. It's a nice flash from Muzi. It's gonna force that out of the jungler. Will they be able to pick up the kill? Yes, Ridley gets that one. Verticality trying to fire back, but does not nearly have enough damage. And wow, it looked like they were in favor in the bot lane, but they just did not see the jungler coming.
Yeah, but speaking of which, in the top lane, you have the ultimate coming through from Rizzy, not quite going to be able to pick up that kill just yet. Meanwhile, a huge amount of farm being denied from Verticality in this bot lane. The Lucian Nami is just absolutely unparalleled in the 2v2, but you throw a jungler into the mix, 2v2 does not matter nearly as much here. You know, that Lucian just wants all that farm, but instead he's forced to watch all of it go down, while so many more plates get picked up by the side of Ice.
Yeah, and that's going to be a gold lead starting to slowly swing in Sever's favor. Does not have the kill just yet, and the CS lead is still in favor of Verticality, but those plates deal a lot of gold, even though they have been nerfed before Season 14, so I think it was split between 3 people, so I think they only got about 75 gold per person, but we see Absolar coming down. He's got the red buff online. I believe he stole that. Can he land the pillar? Yes, it's a nice pillar onto Holy Carrot once again. Will the bubble go down? No, it'll actually end up going wide, and the culling is not nearly enough damage. Just Sever's forced to pop the flash because that bubble would have definitely landed, as he had already used his E cooldown to get away from the pillar.
Yeah, and that was both flashes taken up from the side of Ice's bot lane, and that's got to be feeling so bad here. Absar didn't burn a single thing, just walked forward, had a perfectly placed pillar, and all of a sudden, you have to flash that. You just cannot survive without that. Meanwhile, Lil Fizzy just going to continue to farm up in this top lane, staying alive versus Rizzy. I honestly think that Iceborn White have to just...
Oh no.
Oh Lord.
No, Sever, you're going to get caught out, and the Bush Monkeys were able to find that one. And they actually swindle the lead back into their favor. Verticality picking up 2 kills to 0. But now Sever is going to have that Sheen online, so we could see some little bit of damage bouncing back if Riddy can find those gank angles.
Yeah, I was about to say, right, I think that Iceborn White honestly have to look towards that top lane, have to make sure that Rizzy does not get to run away with this, you know, with this Cassante, because everywhere else on the map is just not quite working out, right? Neversaw's doing just fine, and okay, speaking of which, we've already got something going on up here.
Yep, Carrot is coming up trying to help out this top laner, and so is Riddy. Will Rizzy be able to find out one? No, they will not. The kill goes over towards the Heimerdinger, though. Fizzy not going to end up dying. I barely lived, like 50 HP. We'll end up getting that regioned up, and the next Void Grublings will end up spawning here. Carrot's in the position, so they're going to be able to deny that Void Grub stacking. Absolar probably will not be able to make it into the area in time. And now we're going to start seeing Iceborn rotating this support. Like we mentioned, that the Ezreal is fine to solo farm in the bot side, but they're going to start roaming this support to each objective because those turrets are absolutely crucial for claiming objectives. As you see, they only grabbed 1 Void Grub, and with 3 still stacked up for Khan, they could get the 5 Void Grub buff here.
5 Void Grub is still on the table, but at the very least, 6 is denied. Holy Carrot's still just going to be looking around to try to make things happen, but Neversaw, oh my lord, she's just going straight in.
Yeah, I don't think you want to be running into a level 9 80 carry Akali as she's looking to get that pick off. The ultimate is going to come down. Will she be able to find it? Yes. Holy Carrot will end up falling, and the tidal wave is going to come down to hit the bubble onto Riddy. He is forced to pop the ultimate, but it will not save him. This time around, we see a True Shot Barrage come out, trying to help out, but it went completely wide, as this Zoe might be caught out. Next, will they be able to land the Q3 knockup from the Cassante to be able to CC them up? They're going to decide not to go for that one. And Verticality wins the 1v1 in the bot lane, so he's up 3 kills to nothing on the Ezreal.
Yeah, and Verticality, as you can see here, did end up opting for the Voltaic Cyclosword, which is just so much early kill pressure, right? You know, with the slows on that and the fact that you have First Strike on top of it, you know, you mess up once, you step forward just a little too far as Ezreal, I don't care that you have Arcane Shift. I don't care if you have Flash up, which, you know, Severe absolutely did not. right? This Lucian has so much kill pressure, which just negates so much of the available, safety that Ezreal excels with. But right here, it's just looking worse and worse for Con Esports. Sorry,
Yeah, and
for Iceborn White.
Fizzy is going to have to be a little bit careful. Is winning out in the health trade there in the top side. The all-out is coming out as well, as we can see. Is Rizzy going to be able to turn that back in favor potentially? As no, Fizzy is able to be able to get that kill. I was not expecting that. I was expecting the Sheen to be able to come out on top, but it does not. Fizzy's going to get some plays, but back down to the Dragon. We have it up and going. It is an Infernal Dragon. Will be picked up from Team Con. They are finally able to start that Dragon scaling, but this top lane is mesmerizing us right now.
Yeah, I mean, the Haunting guy's being picked up for Lil Fizzy. This Maokai is doing more and more damage. Never saw it in the rings here, but I don't know if she can actually kill him.
I don't know if she has enough damage. The kickback is going to end up coming down. One more Q will do it. Lil Fizzy is forced to burn the flash. And with double buffs online, which we didn't see at first, that would be a free pick for Neversaw. And this is a 3v3 in the bot lane right now. The culling is online. Tidal Wave is going to come down first. Is going to be able to knock up Ready, who will be able to commit that engage first. A nice pillar! Holy cow! They knocked up Holy Carry into one position with Ready, and they could not go anywhere. They turned a 3v3 into a 3v2 and absolutely capitalized on that.
And I cannot believe Absar's Trundle right here, right? So the Xin Zhao was first pick blue side, a lot of priority being put on that Xin, and honestly, Xin Zhao's a good champion. He's opens up so much in the draft, just delivers so much damage, and if you have an Oriana angle, also delivers the ball directly to the enemy backline. Meanwhile, Iceborn White, we're not ready for this Trundle pick, which immediately got slammed down by Con Esports. And Absar on this Trundle has been unbelievably effective. Every single one of these fights, the pillars have been placed exactly where they need to be when they need to be placed. There was nowhere to run from Verticality's culling. There was nowhere to hide from all of that damage, all of that CC coming out from Muzi as well. Ice just do not seem to have the same amount of synergy that Con Esports already are displaying. This is week number 1, set number 1, game number 1, but we're already looking at a really strong team.
And we have most of the members except for Rizzy, who has the TP online positioning for this Rift Herald. No Trundle Ultimate online, so that could be crucial. Verticality's just now going to have that culling up. But I'm looking at Muzi with the Tidal Wave as the engage. Maybe even the Nature's Roots are going to come down from Fizzy too, but then here's the TP coming out of Rizzy. It will actually be stolen! Rizzy was able to take that, and honestly, Khan might not take that line down. Neversaw was already be poked down to half HP, and they might be forced to just give up and not fight, take a fight win here. They literally just lost an objective they entirely almost had for free.
Yeah, I mean, it's the 50-50, and when it comes to competitive play, Smite 50-50s are honestly a team diff, not even just a jungle diff, but Riddy absolutely just, oh my god!
It was the Drowsy off of Waguri able to pick up that one as Rizzy's going in with the all-out. Is able to find one. Can they find more? Sevir's going to be able to use the Arcane Shift to get away from that Q3 knockup, and Riddy is in the area, has the red buff online and ultimate. Rizzy is going back in once again. These names are absolutely confusing me sometimes because we have Rizzy and Riddy, and Rizzy is going to land a nice 3-man knockup, but Absol is not able to help out too much, and the knockups from Xin Zhao are even stronger, and it's Iceborn fighting back.
And just like that, so many shutdowns going over. It was looking so good for the side of Con Esports, but one potential opening, and Iceborn are just going to take that one straight to the bank. The gold lead is slipping by quite a bit. Only 2K now, 3K, sorry. 2.3K separating these teams, and it's just looking so much better for the side of Iceborn here. If Con do that 1 or 2 more times, this game could get completely out of their hands. Now, I praised the Voltaic Cyclo Sword earlier from Verticality for netting the kill in that bot lane. Now, the one big thing about this pick is that it is a win more pick. It is not a this is my winning now pick here, but oh lord, speaking of winning now, Never saw very much on the winning side down there, but as I was gonna say, right, this Lucian does so much damage right now, will be falling off with that Voltaic Cyclosword, right? Does not have the same kind of staying power as, you know, if you had the Blood Song Voltaic Cyclosword Lucian from the last patch, right? This is not the double support meta, the double support item meta that we saw earlier. It is just, you know, you get ahead with your gold lead, you spend that money, and you have to slowly build up to get more and more crit, and Lucian needs that crit.
I absolutely agree. But speaking of, we've got a fight just about to come down. Verticality is in the area for this one, unlike that little mid lane skirmish it never saw. Might be looking for some type of flank angle. We're going to see her move down towards the bot. Oh, no, is going to be able to just fight on top of her team this time. And which team's going to engage first? I'm looking at Riddy with the Jinzhao. Rizzy has a nice flank angle, looking to go into Sivir. The Arcane Shift's going to come down in the pillar, and the nice stun up. They've bursted down that 80 carry, and Neversaw is going to find the help to burst down another one, too. That's a double kill for Verticality. Is now 6-0 in this game. Fizzy's going to answer back with a nice top lane turret, but this should be the second dragon of the game picked up. They're going to look to stun up or stack up mid lane as well. Take a mid lane turret in response here. It's only Holy Carrot and Riddy. I don't think they can win a team fight 4v2, but they got to be careful as Khan might look for an engage after this tower gets bursted down. And Rizzy is already moving up to deny this Maokai anymore in the top side.
Yeah, and it's not just Rizzy, it's the entire team coming on over. I don't think Lil Fizzy has an angle to get on out of here, but right here, you know, you're just gonna see the wet noodle fight of the century as Lil Fizzy is just actually surviving for such a long time.
Yep. Oh, nearly able to trade out 1-for-1 is the True Shot Barrage. Will it find a shutdown? No. Verticality, only a quarter of HP is going to be able to easily heal that up. Neversaw casually 1v3ing in the mid lane right now. Not able to fall just yet as Absolar has moved in for the peel, and the assistant's going to pop the ultimate to get a little bit of healing off that, but is getting chunked down by this Heimerdinger Ezreal. They do a ton of damage that we have not yet talked about with that Essence Reaver and Rayleigh is online. And honestly, if you're Team Con, you've got to find an angle to start ending the game soon before a lot of these AP scalers start to scale.
Yeah, I mean, I was saying earlier though, right, while Verticality's Lucian might fall off later, that's the thing about falling off, right? You can't fall off if you're not super strong to begin with, and dear lord, this Lucian is strong as hell. You got 7 kills on that Lucian, 161 CS at 19 minutes in, and with a Nami pumping those, you know, extra bits of damage in at every possible moment, especially with you know, first strike, you should be able to see this Lucian just start to pop people. Severe has to Arcane Shift away early to just not even try to trade back any damage, because you know Verticality is just looking to pop one of these players to just immediately swap over to the Baron the moment it spawns.
We've got about 5 seconds before that Baron is spawning up, and they're looking at Fizzy potentially. Neversaw, she's roaming up to potentially find this pick or at least poke them down. Riddy's going to be responding for a little bit of peel, but Absolar has moved in as well. And this bot lane, they're going to flash forward. The bubble's going to end up going wide, and the Culling is going to find a pick onto the mid lane. Will he find 2? Yes, he will! Verticality 8-0, I believe now, in this game. It's going absolute buck wild. Neversaw is going to use the ultimate to try and get out and away from this Maokai and potentially will live, but a flash forward, it's going to actually miss the Q. Will should end up falling here. Oh, no. Will they get a trade on Neversaw? The burn damage might nearly be enough. And no, it's not. They were able to pick up that pick onto Fizzy. This should be a free Baron, but right now, these two tier 2s are falling left and right as they, I mean, the entire time Rizzy was taking the bot lane.
Yeah, for a game that, if you look at the scoreboard, is actually ridiculously stompy, these fights feel so unbelievably close. They're not just winning off of, you know, the ability to slap their opponents with their wallets. Iceborn are just getting outplayed in a lot of these fights. You saw just how masterfully Neversaw just darted away from Lil Fizzy. There was just no way for the Maokai to get on top of her. Meanwhile, you know, Severe and Holy Carrot going to get gunned down by the Lucian, you know, cuddling across the entirety of that bot lane.
This Lucian is 10-0 with a 700 gold bounty, and never saw she has spotted another target. The flash is going to be forced out, and I believe she did see the jungler there, so is trying going to clear up the wave and back off for now. I'm not looking to take that 2v1, but this Baron with Lucian being this stacked is not even going to last like a minute. And that ends up being a nice gold lead pocket as it is already up 10k. Culling's going to be committed onto Fizzy here. This guy is not having a great time into this bot lane. He's going to be able to put out the H's root, but not nearly enough because the pillar does not allow you to escape. And that might be a game-ending pick in the top side as we see the bot Baron buff is starting to run down the mid lane. They're going to push Verticality in the top side to get that last tier 2 tower. As Never Saw. He took that. I was not expecting that. The ultimate's gonna come down. Waguri is already a quarter of HP. Can one more Q do it? Not able to find the angle for that one just yet, but Riddy will get knocked up and shut down. The tidal wave is gonna knock up 2, and they're going forward for more. 4 members have fallen, and it's just up to Severe, the lone 80 carry, and it's not looking good. It's looking like Team Khan are going to take game 1, 25-6. 22 minutes in. What an absolute performance from this team and Verticality, putting on a clinic for us in game number 1. It's up to Fizzy and Severe. That tank back alive probably will not live for much longer. Trying to find a pick on one of these squishies. Rizzy, the only one that's really low, but Never Saw is going to be able to zone them out. Only one more turret left, and with Trundle on your team, look at that attack speed. Then that Nexus will just end up falling instantly.
Yeah, I cannot believe how dominantly Khan Esports played that one. I would call it a bloodbath, but honestly, with how easy they made it look, might as well have been a bubble bath for Khan Esports there. You know, Never Saw just darting in and out of that back line. Verticality and Muzi just dominating the bot lane. You know, Rizzy just constantly putting up the pressure needed, and Absar with the beautiful jungle pathing at exactly the right moments for a game 1 to start off the season. That is a statement game and a half. I am so excited to see just how these teams bounce back for game number 2. You know, will Iceborn White have an answer here, or will they just crumble? Because Khan Esports are looking incredible.
Yeah, have to give it to that bot lane. They had an early advantage and they stuck to it. They played to that strength of the Lucian Nami, and it looked nearly perfect there tonight. Going to be interesting to see how they respond. Maybe the Lucian Nami gets fitted out this time. It still opens up room for the Mars to be played, the Car to be played, side out command those. So I'm looking for a game number 2. This Khan team has come out with their guns blazing, and it's up to Iceborn to be able to put a little cork in those barrels.
Yeah, I mean, either way, game number 1 was a banger and a half, so don't go away because game number 2 is coming in soon.
Cause in the story of our lives, the best of times through colored glass. Time rolls on enough to let me move on past, but every little now and then it creeps on back to shade my smile. Some days there's no one else who loves me like you used to. Some days I'm not myself, there's no one I can turn to. And I know all the feelings that we shared are in the past. And I know your relationships are never meant to last. It might take some time, but I'll be alright. I'm moving on, I'm moving on. I know times are tough, but I've had enough. I'm moving on, I'm moving on. Moving on, moving on. I know times are tough, but I've had enough. I'm moving on, I'm moving on. Some days there's no one else who loves me like you used to. Some days I'm not myself. There's no one I can turn to. And I know all the feelings that we shared are in the past. And I know your relationships are never meant to last. It might take some time, but I'll be alright. I'm moving on, I'm moving on. I know times are tough, but I've had enough. I'm moving on, I'm moving on. I know times are tough, but I've had enough. I'm moving on, I'm moving on. I'm moving on. Talking to myself and I can't focus. Yeah, I'm broken. The door is closing. Wanna be a part of something more than this. I've lost control of it. Oh, seeing the stars reminds me of you. Oh, oh, oh. You left me with scars, but I know that one day you'll see it through. You see it through. You see it through. You see it through. You see it through. We gonna live forever, forever. The afterlife. We gonna live forever, forever. The Talking to myself and I can't focus. Yeah, I'm broken. The door is closing. Wanna be a part of something more than this. I've lost control of it. Oh, seeing the stars reminds me of you. Oh, oh, oh. You left me with scars, but I know that one day you'll see it through. You see it through. You see it through.
pair of jeans, a shirt or two. We didn't pack as if we weren't going back. It doesn't matter if it's true. I've got a feeling love will give us what we lack. The world is waiting up. The world is waiting half a step beyond our door. Yeah. And if it's not enough, I wanna see the stuff the world has got in store. I wanna take it all in, I'm falling. The cityscape by night, wanna catch in my photos. Where you go, every corner twice as bright. They'll be my treasures forever. When I can't hold you tight, I'll see the Stockholm lights. The Stockholm lights, the Stockholm lights. Tomorrow feels a year away, like the seconds, the beginning and the end. But if in time it's yesterday, your picture's gonna bring it home to me again. The world is waiting up. The world is waiting half a step beyond our door. And if it's not enough, I wanna see the stuff the world has got in store. I wanna take it all in, I'm falling. The cityscape by night, wanna catch in my photos. Where you go, every corner twice as bright. They'll be my treasures forever. When I can't hold you tight, I'll see the Stockholm lights. The Stockholm lights, the Stockholm lights.
eyes on my display. You say we need a change, and I feel that you mean it. You mean it. But you're so right, we're losing track of time. Buying things.
Welcome back. We have game number 2 strapped up and ready, and what an absolute game number 1 we had there.
I know, right?
It was insane. It was all like that. They played to that Lucian Nami's comp perfectly, and we saw it scale into the later half of the game. Ice, while they didn't have a too horrible of a draft, they had a lot of AP scaling, just didn't really reach the game where they were going to be able to get that up and running at a proper time. But now we have draft number 2, and how should Iceborn bounce back, Anti?
Yeah, honestly, it's an interesting thought, right? You know, for the side of Ice, right, Severe and Holy Carrot were honestly in such a rough spot from the very beginning. You could say that they were getting outclassed, right? Because on one hand, right, the 2v2 didn't exactly work out in their favor, but, you know, Verticality had the first blood.
True.
Absar had a ridiculously good gank. So, you know, maybe it's just was one of those games that you write off as it didn't quite work out as we had hoped. But, you know, Lil Fizzy was consistently doing really, really well in that top lane. Meanwhile, Khan going to just slam the Trundle immediately, which is a very interesting decision here, but I love it because you can still flex that, and Ice are just gonna take the Jinx. So, Jinx pick here, I honestly think that Jinx as a champion, relatively solid. Jinx Lulu, a very good combo. And when you know that it's not going to be a Hecarim going to just run you down in that back line, it's not a bad pick here, but it's Trundle, right? You know, you don't know that that's not going to go into top lane, and that is a Draven pick. Oh, baby.
All right, everybody, we have entered the League of Draven now, and they're going with the Blitzcrank 2 into the Enchanter support, and the Jinx. I don't know why my mind is blanking right now. The Jinx that has no mobility. It's not gonna be able to get out. This Blitzcrank pick is gonna be absurd. It's gonna be followed up with a Kindred, but they picked a very aggressive ganking jungler last time. I don't think Kindred wins early against the Trundle. So I mean, she might be able to, but I think.
Well, the thing about Kindred versus Trundle in the jungle is that, you know, while if Trundle gets on top of her, yes, Kindred dies, but Kindred can just leave, right?
Yes, if
it's
they
not.
leave. If they leave.
It's not the worst thing, right? You know, you have to find Kindred in a very, very awkward position to actually get a kill off on her. Meanwhile, you know, more things taken away from Neversaw. That Akali is never seeing the light of day after that game. But, you know, meanwhile, you know, Karuko's still not going to be able to play that Azir. You know, been seeing a lot of that on his profile, but not going to be able to see any of that one on the Rift. You have to pick that one up in first rotation if you want to see it as Ice here. So right now, I honestly think that you save that last pick for your top laner, right? You know, Lil Fizzy was doing really, really well into Rizzy despite everything burning down here, and the Nico gonna be picked up for Karuko. You know, you're going to be getting a decent bit of AoE, but once again, the only front line you're going to get is from the top lane. And Hui gonna get picked up for Khan here.
Okay, never saw potentially on the Hui. This is gonna be interesting. I've yet to see the champion pulled out in like competitive play. I've seen it in ranked. I've actually been seeing it interesting support recently, which is pretty
Yeah, I mean, I think Hui is an incredible champion. You know, you can play him in support, in AP carry, in mid lane, you know, whatever you want. And all right, Lil Fizzy on the Gwen here. So no real front line per se, but you know, if your entire team is alive and the enemy team is dead, who cares about a front line, right? So right now, Ice and Khan going to be duking it out on the Rift here. Honestly, I like this composition a lot more than the last one we saw from Ice. You know, it looks like they took a little bit of our advice with that pro comps for this draft here. But
it seems as though pro comps has recommended them to not first pick Xin Zhao.
Yeah, but you know, either way, only time will tell just how that one plays out on the Rift. So let's see how that develops.
Yeah, and something I want to point out here, Anti, is if you take a look at the draft real quick here, you could see that the draft from Iceborn is almost the exact same as last draft, where they have AP top, AP mid, AP support. And that's exactly what they drafted last time. So they're looking for those AP hyperscalers once again. But I mean, it's gonna come down to Khan playing their win Khan, pun intended, um,
Mm-hmm.
and getting verticality and early pick, get those adoration stacks off, get him extra gold, and just steamroll a win from there. And I'm really excited for the mid lane matchup because I think Hui as a champion is very, very cool. Even though he has like 4 million combos, I think Never Saw she could pull it off. I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, I mean, only time will tell as to just how it works out here. But one thing to note that works out so much nicer for Khan this game is not taking the level 1 fight into the team that will slam you at level 1, right? Honestly, I think if Khan had a Scion in that last game, maybe they take that level 1 fight and it works out. But, you know, Scion did his best, transformation into Maokai, so you know it didn't exactly work out as they had maybe intended. Meanwhile, you know, we're going to be seeing very, very standard starts from both of these teams here. Nothing too crazy. Nobody's going to be dying at level 1. So it's just going to be trade after trade in all of these lanes, namely in that top lane.
So something that interests me as we move to the jungle is that Riddy has they both of them have gone for a mirrored clear here, starting on their blue buffs and pathing in the opposite directions. But I'm really surprised that Absol did not start or excuse me, both teams started red buff. Absol did not start blue buff. I'm kind of surprised there because maybe he feels that he has a strong side bot lane and doesn't need to gank for that to get them a Draven kill early on. But Riddy is going to be pathing towards that bot side and is going to be looking to deny Draven an early kill later on. So I feel like Absol should be able to note this and path to meet for at least the counter gank.
Yeah, maybe. But either way, the vertical jungling coming out from Riddy here guarantees that there's no chance that Fizzy is going to be getting ganked. So with this wave getting shoved in here, I don't think that you actually have an angle for a full-on, oh my lord.
Oh no,
Holy carrot.
He's just standing there taking it. Maybe we have a little bit of a disconnect. Yep, there it is. Holy Carrot has disconnected for the game. Immediately reconnected, so we will not have a pause. Was interesting, but that is going to be devastating because that is Draven getting off some stacks and getting first blood once again. Verticality in this bot side. There's a flash hook's going to come down on a Severe. Is forced to burn the flash under the Jinx. That is no AD carry with a flash, and this is looking like they want to go for a tower dive. Muzi, though they have the hook back online, is going to be able to land that. Knock-up pillar is going to come down as well, and I believe it is being tanked up. Verticality getting another kill there, looking for potentially more into Holy Carrot, but got to be careful because the Nico's in the area will actually end up getting rooted out. Verticality is actually will fall here. Flash forward, Absol, or maybe, or not Flash, Absol going forward, trying to find something, but not really able to respond. I think they got a little bit too greedy there.
Yeah, I don't know. I honestly think that that's 150% worth. Maybe you don't even drop the... Oh my god, speaking of drop, Absol almost getting dropped down here by Karuko, but Never Saw in the wings, going to make sure that that just does not happen. This Nico just going to be taking a decent chunk of damage in response here, but nothing too crazy just yet. Anyway, as I was saying, I don't think that that was a particularly bad trade whatsoever, and oh my lord, these teams just hate analysis, don't they?
Yeah, apparently they do. Never Saw is on the back burner right now, but she has that movement speed. Is going to be able to slow up Riddy and Kite to this Blitzcrank moving up as well. Fizzy's got to be careful. Is going to be able to dodge that empowered Q, so he's not going to be able to get the knockup. But yeah, I'm going to toss it back to you, Anti, so you can say what you need to say before the dragon spawns in like 30 seconds.
Maybe I'll get to say it. But, you know, that was... This huge amount of CS being denied from Severe here. You know, look at that. 33-16. Draven sitting on a serrated Dirk. You could not ask for a worse start as an AD carry, right? Being down gold into Draven just feels absolutely awful. Draven is such a cheater champion in that regard, where it's like, hey, you know, Draven hasn't gotten a kill, you have to be worried as to whether or not he gets a kill. Hey, Draven got a kill, you just lose. Or hey, Draven was behind like by 2,000 gold or something like that, but he never died, so you still have to worry about it. Right? But now this is what you have to be worried about. It's not just worries, it's just the nightmares coming to life. Draven, Nocturne, I don't care who it is, this is what a living nightmare looks like.
Yeah, and this bot lane is not going to have fun. They have been zoned completely out of their entire lane. Not even going to be able to get any XP to somehow bounce back. Still level 3, Holy Carrot on the support. Muzi is going to be able to get that level up advantage here eventually. But Draven is just single-handedly taking plate after plate after plate. And we talked about the adoration stacks, but now he's getting plate stacks, and he's just going to be a menace to deal with. They have bot lane prio. Mid lane seems to be, oh, nope, it was a minion. Nico was a minion, so Hook's going to end up going wide for Muzi there, but they can move to take this Ocean Dragon if they ever so decide to. And right now, the only real response that Riddy can have here is just vertical jungle and trying to take whatever they can as they're looking for another tower dive here. Going forward, another knockup and disappear. The Ignite's going to come down, trying to solidify this pick, but Holy Carrot's going to pick up the enemy support. And the kill goes over to Blitzcrank. Probably not what you wanted. Verticality is forced to burn the flash, and he's going to end up getting slowed up from the Q from Holy Carrot. Will they find a pick up the AD carry? The needlework is coming down. Do they have one more online? It's not looking like it. A nice knockup. Verticality. You need to run as fast as you can and get out of there. Will he be able to survive? It's not looking like it. Fizzy able to find that one off of a perfect TP timer. And this is looking like, I believe Iceborn, Iceborn is starting to fight back. Yeah, Iceborn's on the red side this time.
Yeah, I mean, Iceborn are fighting back here, but that, still not exactly working out, as Rizzy going straight on in, trying to find a kill, trying to find a way how to get plates, deny as much CS as possible. Riddy going to be able to pick that one up though, and as the Kindred gets scaled up, you have to be worried about more and more damage sources, right? This works out. The strategy right now from Khan works out incredibly well if you treat Jinx as the sole carry of the team, right? As a hyper carry, that's usually not a bad plan. But when you have champions like Kindred, like Gwen, right? Jinx is not the only one that you have to take out of the game, right? There's so much more that you have to take out of the game. And Lil Fizzy getting that early kill lead, that early gold lead, despite doing so well without one in the last game, is definitely going to look so much more terrifying for the side of Khan.
Yeah, and this is looking like a very strong top side. Verticality got some early picks into the game, but 2 picks have been, he has ended up dying 2 times here to Holy Carrot though. So it is the support starting to be a little bit of the carry in the bot lane right now, but as you mentioned, the Jinx will be the late game hyper carry unless this Draven is able to find a way to just leave her in the dust, which right now is what we are seeing. A 76 CS lead here. Absol is going to be able to find Riddy, but Fizzy's in the area. They might be able to collapse onto this Strundle. Will he end up being calling out? The Needlework's going to come down. They're looking. Flash forward out of Riddy. He uses the Ghost. The Needlework's going to be dodged up. The Blast Cone's going to be able to help him escape. And wow, that was really bad if you are Absol, because now you're missed a good chunk of your top side. You can respawn with potentially a Dragon Take here as you have the bot side prio, but oh no, Rizzy might be the one caught out here now. Fizzy's going to be turning on to them. This top side jungle duo are putting in absolute work right now. Rizzy's going to commit the ghost stat. Nothing's going to come down, but oh, I'm sorry.
This
He's
poor
moved towards the
bot
bot
lane.
He's going on to the support. Polymorph and Ignite come down severe. Might be able to find their first pick of the game. And no, it goes over to the Lulu. Once again, a flash forward knockup from the Blitzcrank should be able to give another kill over to Verticality, and they should be able to pick up that first tower of the game. Meanwhile, Riddy, no topside objective has spawned just yet as the grubs haven't came in, but this is looking honestly like very strong topside versus very strong bot side right now as Riddy's roaming up to try and help out Lil Fizzy. The Immo is going to be able to come down. Rizzy, you are very close to falling here. Nice knockup and E over the wall will help them escape, but you just burned a crucial ultimate for team fights.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, at this point, crucial ultimate for team fights, not really, because there's just no team fighting to be had. It is just skirmish after skirmish, and speaking of which,
Oh no.
This is even more skirmishing as the trundle just goes down. It's just looking so rough for Absar, but so good for verticality. I have no idea what in the world is going to happen the moment that these teams get fully into position, because there's certain champions in this game that are absolutely thriving and certain ones who are just wanting to go next.
Yeah, and I would say to you right now, in my humble opinion as a commentator, not an analyst, uh, I would think that once we get into team fighting, it's going to swing a little bit more in favor of Khan because of the lack of frontline on Iceborn, and that's going to leave verticality just sit back and toss axes left, right, and backwards this Iceborn team. And if it can go unresponded, it's going to be a menace to have to deal with.
Yeah, honestly, a large part of this really just depends on whether or not Karuko can actually get, one of those crazy Nico flanks that we've seen so many times, in competitive play, right? You watch Faker, right, just get crazy 4-man, 5-man Nico ultis off. And that's exactly what it is that Ice need. If you cannot get on top of the Draven, then those team fights might just be doomed here. That is 5 plates already on Draven alone. At this point, it's looking like it might be 9 of them. But oh lord, poor Rizzy.
Yeah, I think he'll end up being fine. He is able to dodge up that third needle work, and Absar's in the area, so this might actually be turning back in their favor. Oh, the Q ends up landing, slows up Fizzy a little bit, but it is Karuko in the area, so they're not going to look to take on that 3v2 as a double kill in the top side for verticality. This man put on a clinic last game and is looking to put on even more, the highest amount of gold in the game. And when that's on a Draven, you're starting to quiver in your boots if you're Iceborn.
I don't think it's even a start thing at this point, right? After that first blood, it was just all downhill from there. As we've said before, it is just a living nightmare having to deal with this Draven in the 2v2, but you can't drag more people up here to constantly deal with the Draven, right? There's more things on the map to be had. There's more things to play around. And at this point, when your bot lane's this far behind, you just give up on that bot lane, right? You say, hey, you know what? You're gonna scale eventually. We'll leave some farm to you, but right now you are not our focus. It's just about trying to get as much objectives as possible on the map. You got the dragon, you got a decent amount of those void grubs right here. Rizzy, versus Fizzy, just gonna continue to slam as much gold as possible into this Draven. You've gotten the top plates, you've gotten the bot plates, now looking for even mid lane, and oh my god, that's a 2-item Draven.
Yep, Infinity Edge has been picked up, so that, like you said, with the Lucian, now he's starting to scale with crit on a Draven, which is going to be pretty darn scary. One thing I also want to point out that's going to end up being scary is there's still a Hwei on the field. Has picked up, I believe that is the Horizon Focus, and we've seen this champion do a ton of damage before, and only 1-0 never saw she is on that Hwei, so hasn't been able to die yet, is going to eventually start getting some assists once we get into those team fights to help stack up that Dark Seal, and she's going to be very scary to have to deal with later on as well. So there could be 2 potential threats over on the side of Khan, as a hook from Muzi. Maybe some, no, it could have been a little dangerous, but is able to get out and forces out some moderate poke there.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, forces a little bit of fear into Severe and Holy Carrot, as if they haven't had enough to fear here. But either way, the Rift Herald going to be going down. There's just no chance that they have to do anything about this. So right now, the only option for the side of Ice is you go straight in onto Rizzy, try to dive the Cassante, but it's not quite set up exactly as they want it just yet.
Yep, he's gonna go unstopped, really eating a lot of turret shots. And yep, I mean, they were able to pick up that kill, but they're going to end up dropping the Rift Herald, I presume, here in the mid lane, riding it as Absol, going to get that extra little bit of damage.
Oh!
A nice knock up on the Kurko with the pillar. Maybe they'll be able to find a pick there. Neversaw has responded into this bot side, looking for a pick on the Lil Fizzy. Should be able to find it. The Polymorph, not nearly enough. Will they be able to get a double kill onto the support? Not nearly able to find that one just yet. Another riding Rift Herald here is going to slam. They might be able to take 2 mid tier 2s, but nope, the reinforcements have arrived, so they're going to opt to back out. But a ton of gold has been picked up for Team Con now.
Yeah, and not just for Team Con, for Team Draven. Verticality here, going to be able to pick up so much more here. All right, another BF sword in the pocket, and I think might be waiting a little bit for a Vamp Scepter here. Oh, no, never mind. Just going to be running straight onto the map here, but holy, 2.5 items on this Draven. This Draven is exactly where all of that gold is focused, but that's not to say that the other champions on this team are things you can just ignore. Neversaw was incredible on the Akali the last game, but right here, right there.
Oh, the hook from Muzi into the CC from Neversaw. She's going to have her 3rd kill, I believe, of the game, stacking up those Dark Seals, so she's going to be a menace. Now you're going to have to deal with the Draven and Ahoy as Rizzy is looking to win out the 1v1 finally against Lil Fizzy. Yes, he's able to get that solo bolo, and this Con team have moved into the bot side river, looking to take their first dragon of the game finally.
Yeah, and I was about to say, right, right there is exactly what, Ice wanted, right? It was a pick onto Draven. You got the root off. You had everyone ready to try to make something happen. But, with a cleanse and a hop away, the only thing that's going to happen is Con doing even more phenomenally with the Draven and Rizzy dying once again.
Yeah, the only thing Iceborn really can do is go kill Rizzy at this point, which eventually is going to absolutely mean nothing because he's going to have those tank items online. So at some point, it's going to be like, okay, we're not really benefiting from killing this man, but that's the only thing that they can really do, because with Absol roaming around with verticality and Muzi always holding his hand as well, it's going to be extremely hard to find a pick onto that Draven. As we saw, the polymorph CC, everything came down to get a pick on the verticality, but Muzi just turns around, lands a hook, Neversaw comes in for the cleanup. So getting a pick on this Draven is not going to be easy.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be exactly what's necessary. Meanwhile, Rizzy, on the other hand, the only one that it seems that Iceborn have been continually able to get a hold of. I mean, it's a little bit of copyright infringement, right? It's like when they took down Al Capone for tax evasion, right? you try to find one thing, that you can punish. And right here, Rizzy, you've got an Iceborn in your inventory. You're not allowed to do that. That's our thing.
Oh,
here we go.
Though. Maybe they were able to find something. That all that's going to come down on a little Fizzy. Muzi trying to find an angle to help this top laner, but needs to retreat themselves. They can only kill Rizzy, man. I honestly feel bad for the man at this point.
This is why you check the copyright infringement. You have to work with the legal team, right? But, all memes aside, these picks onto Rizzy might not necessarily be getting them too much in terms of gold, but it's something. But oh my lord.
No. The MO is forced out of Riddy, but it might not matter. Verticality does a ton of damage. Super Mega Death Rocket does nearly absolutely nothing. As the Fierce Play from behind it is forced to flash away from the hook. Verticality is able to just, I believe that just half hit the Lulu there. They're going to be able to turn onto Karuko. Outstar lands a pillar. The pop blossom goes up, and it does not come down as verticality does too much damage. It's all up to Frizzy before this Baron spawns. Rizzy bouncing back is tired of dying to this top laner. It's going to finally get his pick in this fight. And holy, this Con team is looking unstoppable.
Yeah, I mean, and as all of this is happening, right, it's basically been the verticality show. But it's not like it's only verticality. Neversaw 3-0-1 on the Quay, just pumping out continuous damage. She's just always in the right position at the right time, and it's just looking so rough for the side of Iceborn. I'm not 100% sure as to what their avenue is to get back into this outside of just group up as 5 and try to deathball verticality. If you die in the process, at least you tried. You're down almost, 7,000 gold here, almost 8,000 gold, and it's just, you have to make something happen. And with a team like this that you have to be ahead on, it's gonna be so difficult if you don't group up and make something happen sooner.
Yep, and this Baron is going to be started up looking to push verticality's strengths. As you saw on the scoreboard there a little bit a while ago, all of the members of Iceborn have 1 item, where verticality nearly has 4, almost. So he's
Oh my
absolutely completely
God.
ahead. As a nice hook from Moose, he's gonna find Riddy, but he is getting chunked down a little bit. This Kindred does quite a bit of damage. Gwen has a nice flank looking to pick off that support, but the flash is going to come down in a nice pop blossom onto 3. This might be the
Verticality?
Iceborn is looking for a verticality. Is going to be able to find one before they end up falling to Lil Fizzy. And this is Iceborn fighting back. They do get that Baron, but it's only on Neversaw and Muzi.
Yeah, and
Neversaw just killed
Neversaw still looking for some kills here.
Fizzy just ate a tower shot. Muzi, if he can land a hook here, potentially, Neversaw could go over the wall. They can find a pick here.
Gwen is immune.
Gwen is immune, but not immune to tower shots.
And just a step too far, as right there it is a 4 for 3, but at least you got 3 of the Barons out of there, and it shows that verticality can still bleed. It is not quite over just yet. The Draven can die here, but Neversaw still an ever-looming threat in the end, right? Even without the Draven, it's not like you can instantly win these team fights. That's almost a 10,000 gold deficit. Right here, Riddy might be in trouble. Okay, well, not quite gonna pan out.
I think he wanted to take the crop away from this Kindred. Second dragon is going to be picked up. It is a Chemtech, so it's looking like, what kind of soul are we going to have here?
It's the Chemtech soul. That is the 3rd dragon at this point.
Oh.
This game has had so much going on that the dragons have been stealthing on us.
I agree. And speaking of going, Neversaw looking to get another pick on the little Fizzy. Fizzy trying to shut them down, but would not be able to find that. Carrot, you might be in a position you don't want to be, as we saw verticality nearly one-tap you last time. So Muzi could just land a hook and verticality can combo up that. So gotta be a little bit careful. This Draven still pretty scary, as I believe that was the Guardian Shield saving Holy Carrot there quite a bit, as well as those Lulu shields. Nice, Hextech flash over the walls. Not gonna be able to find a hook onto anything just yet. Oh, but it is a nice flea on Severe. Already a quarter of HP. Looking to clean that up is verticality, but is not able to find the pullback on the ultimate onto Severe. And now they're looking to push into this bot side. They have Baron buff on the support and on this mid laner, so they need to find some angle to make a bit use of it. Looking like they're going to take this bot side tower while Rizzy pushes into the top side. And in the 4v4, without Lil Fizzy there, I'm really starting to favor Khan.
Yeah, I mean, Khan has been in such a good position for so long, and even Rizzy's trying to get in on this, but it seems that this same thing has been going on and again as Fizzy and Rizzy just going to fire off as much damage against each other as possible here. Neversaw might be in a little bit of trouble as Rizzy gets taken out for copyright infringement yet again here. But verticality does not care, just walking right in and killing everyone before they have a chance to look in his direction.
A flash from Neversaw trying to go forward. They want to end the game here. You might have picked up the support, you might have picked up the top laner, but you have not killed verticality. And the one champion that was able to lock down this Draven has fallen. They could potentially go for an angle with verticality's damage to burst down these towers, but they're going to opt not to. They're going to play a little bit safe. Someone's got to respond to Fizzy in this top side. But holy, that's the second Pop Blossom that has been canceled from verticality.
Yeah, I mean, usually when it comes to an ulti cancel of some sort, right, it's from some well-timed bit of CC, like a Vayne tumbling in and condemning a misfortune ulti, something crazy like that. It's usually not just from someone just saying, "Hey,
Smack.
die." Uh,
Smack.
like verticality is so unbelievably fed, and only now is picking up armor penetration.
Has the RFC online as well. That's 4 items, whereas the team of Iceborn is finally starting to pick up their second items of the game. So he's going to be full built here shortly. Hopefully he can end the game before he gets full built. But I mean, he might want to get full built. It could be a little
Who
funny.
knows?
See how much damage he does. Redemption has been picked up for the Lulu, trying to help heal up that team a little bit. But something I want to point out is we have 2 items so far on Severe's Jinx. So we will soon be hitting that 3-item power spike for that AD carry finally on the team of Iceborn. So this Jinx could eventually start powering back, as all it takes is 1 assist to get her going.
Yeah, I mean, we could find ourselves with a Jinx moment if verticality gets popped right at the beginning. Karuko trying to, put some conditioning in, try to just say, hey, you got to be worried about this Pop Blossom. But right here, I don't think that Khan's worried about much.
Oh, Severe
Oh!
gets bursted by the Hwei ultimate. Little Fizzy going in, trying to find the pick on the verticality. He's going to end up getting knocked up by this Blitzcrank, and they can't kill him. He is absolutely unstoppable. Even the Redemption was popped down on the verticality. It's the Lulu trying to heal the Draven at this point, and these turrets and inhibitors will not end up living for much longer, as there is a Trundle and Draven on the field, and that is just a cause for deletion. One more knockup, one more kill onto that Kindred, as it was never saw going undefeated this game. This time she comes out with 0 deaths, and Khan comes out with the win 2-0.
And just like that, and oh my god, they almost picked up another. But either way, it has been a ridiculous showing from the side of Khan Esports. I cannot believe just how powerful this duo bot has been and how consistent Neversaw has been as well. I mean, for a start of the season, this is a statement game and a half, and I am so excited to see just how things develop over the course of the season.
Yep, I am completely here for it. I want to see more of Khan. I want to see verticality. I want to see how they scale into the later half of the season and what kind of clinic they can perform. I'm sorry, I believe on the Trundle is probably going to get banned out now, because he had absolutely performance with those pillars. And as you can see, when they just play around the map macro, once you hit that late game, that Trundle attack speed is just going to delete your towers. And you can even solo dragons like that. So it's going to be an interesting way to see how teams can respond to banning out this Khan team. And can we just get a rage in the chat for Rizzy that he doesn't get 5v1 in the next game?
Oh man. I mean, either way, it has been an electrifying start to the season, and I am so glad to be a part of it with you, Cilantro.
Yep, I'm happy to be back casting with you again, Anti. I think we're gonna have a wonderful, I believe it's 8 weeks of best of 3s or 7 weeks of best of 3s. And then we'll move into those best of 5s. Maybe we'll see Team Khan there in the best of 5s. Maybe we'll see Team Iceborn. Maybe they'll come back for some revenge. But other than that, that's going to do it for our broadcast today. Thanks everybody for coming out. Thanks to all of our production staff. Shout out to our observers. Shout out to our broadcasters, people running the stream, and all of that. And of course, shout out to the viewers and all of the players on both teams. We hope to see you back next Thursday for some more Immortal League.
You are what I waited for. You make me touch the sky when I'm down. 'Cause when I'm with you, I'm fine. When you go, I'm sad. I like my life with was wrong to say I wouldn't change a thing, 'cause in the story of our lives, the best of times through color glass. Time rolls on enough to let me move on past, but every little now and then it creeps on back to shade my smile. Some days there's no one else who loves me like you used to. Some days I'm not myself, there's no one I can turn to. And I know all the feelings that we shared are in the past. And I know your relationships are never meant to last. It might take some time, but I'll be alright. I'm moving on, I'm moving on. I know times are tough, but I've had enough. I'm moving on, I'm moving on. Moving on, moving on. I know times are tough, but I've had enough. I'm moving on, I'm moving on. Some days there's no one else who loves me like you used to. Some days I'm not myself, there's no one I can turn to. And I know all the feelings that we shared are in the past. And I know your relationships are never meant to last. It might take some time, but I'll be alright. I'm moving on, I'm moving on. I know times are